English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners, welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here today.
Today's episode is all about something really important, the power of positivity and work-life balance.
That's right, and we're going to make it really practical for you.
So whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here.
Let's dive right in.
So, Jack, when we talk about positivity, what does that actually mean to you?
That's a great question, Anna. I think positivity gets misunderstood sometimes. People think it means just being happy all the time or ignoring negative feelings, but that's not really what it is.
I see. So what do you think it really means?
To me, positivity is more about your general outlook and how you respond to challenges. It's about choosing to focus on what's within your control and finding ways to move forward even when things are difficult.
That's really insightful. I like that definition. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, but about having a constructive approach to life.
Exactly. And I think that's really important for our listeners to understand. You can still acknowledge that something is hard or frustrating, but your response to it can be positive and proactive.
Have you always been like this, or did you have to work on developing a positive mindset?
Oh, definitely had to work on it. To be honest, I wasn't always the most positive person. There was a time when I would get really down about things and struggle to see the bright side.
Really? I find that hard to imagine.
Oh yes, guilty as charged. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I went through a really tough period. I had just lost a job, and I was struggling financially. I was living with my parents again, which was humbling to say the least.
That sounds really difficult. What helped you get through that?
A few things, actually. One was my grandmother. She used to tell me, "Jack, every cloud has a silver lining." And I used to think that was just something old people say, you know?
But it stuck with you.
It did. Eventually, I started to see what she meant. That job loss, as painful as it was, led me to find a much better opportunity. It also taught me resilience and made me appreciate what I have.
That's a beautiful story. And I think that relates to what we're talking about. Positivity isn't ignoring the hard times. It's about finding meaning and growth within them.
Exactly. And that's something anyone can learn. It just takes practice and awareness.
Anna, can I ask you a question now?
Wait, you're Anna. I'm Jack.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm so used to introducing myself. You go ahead. I'm curious to hear your question.
So, Anna, what's your story with positivity? Did you always have a positive outlook, or did you have a moment that changed your perspective?
That's a really personal question, Jack, but I'm happy to share. I think my journey with positivity really started when I was in university. I was studying very hard and I was constantly stressed about exams and grades.
That sounds intense. How bad did it get?
It got pretty bad, actually. I remember one semester I was so anxious that I wasn't sleeping well, I wasn't eating properly, and I wasn't enjoying anything anymore. I was just surviving, not living.
That must have been really hard. What changed?
I had a friend named Sarah who sat me down one day. She said, "Anna, you're so focused on the destination that you've forgotten to enjoy the journey." And it really struck me.
That's a powerful thing for a friend to say.
It was. She helped me see that I had been defining my worth by my grades and achievements rather than by who I was as a person. So I started making changes. I began practicing gratitude, even just writing down 3 good things each day.
Did that actually help?
It did. At first, it felt a bit silly, I'll be honest. Writing down things like, "the sun is shining," or "I had a nice cup of coffee," seemed trivial. But over time, it really shifted my focus.
I see. So it trained your brain to look for the positive.
Exactly. And that was a game changer for me. I started sleeping better, I was more present with my friends and family, and interestingly, my grades actually improved too.
Wow, that's amazing. So positivity actually helped with your performance.
It did, because I was less stressed and more focused. I wasn't wasting energy on anxiety anymore. I was channeling it into productive study sessions and then actually allowing myself to rest and enjoy life.
That's such an important lesson, and I think our listeners can learn from that too. So now let's talk about work-life balance. What does that actually mean to you, Anna?
I think work-life balance means something different for everyone. For some people, it might mean equal hours for work and personal life. For others, it might mean being fully present in whatever they're doing, whether that's work or family time.
That's a really nuanced view. I like that. For me, I think work-life balance is about priorities and boundaries. It's about making sure that work doesn't consume your entire life.
Can you give me an example of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. So for me, I make sure I don't check work emails after a certain time in the evening. I also make sure I take my lunch break away from my desk, even if it's just 20 minutes to walk around the block.
Those are really practical boundaries. I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially with remote work becoming more common.
Oh, definitely. I think remote work has blurred a lot of boundaries. It's so easy to just check one more email or finish one more task. Before you know it, you're working 12 hours a day and you don't even realize it.
That's so true. I've definitely experienced that. During the pandemic, I was working from home, and I remember thinking, well, I'm already at home, so I might as well get a bit more work done.
And how did that make you feel?
Honestly, exhausted, burnt out. I wasn't spending quality time with my family, I wasn't doing things I enjoyed, and I was becoming irritable. That's when I realized I needed to set clearer boundaries.
It's so common, and it's great that you recognized it and made changes. What did you do differently?
I started by creating a dedicated workspace. Even though I was working from home, I made sure I had a specific area that was just for work. And when I finished work, I would physically leave that space and close the door.
Did that help create mental separation?
It did. Also, I started scheduling my personal activities just like I would schedule a meeting. Things like exercise, time with friends, and hobbies went into my calendar. That way, they weren't something I'd get to if I had time. They were priorities.
That's a great strategy. I think a lot of people treat personal time as something flexible, when really it should be just as structured as work time.
Exactly. And it made a huge difference in my life. I was happier, more productive at work, and more present with the people I care about.
So let's get really practical here. What are some strategies that listeners can use to maintain better work-life balance, even if they have very demanding jobs?
That's a great question, Jack. I think the first strategy is to audit your time. How are you actually spending your hours? A lot of us think we know, but when we actually track it, we're surprised.
That's true. I remember doing a time audit once and realizing I was spending 2 hours a day on social media. It was eye-opening.
Exactly. So the first step is awareness. Once you know where your time goes, you can make intentional choices about where you want it to go.
What are some other strategies?
Another important one is learning to say no. This was really hard for me. I used to say yes to everything because I didn't want to let people down or miss out on opportunities. But eventually I realized that saying yes to everything meant saying no to my own well-being.
That's such an important realization, and it's not selfish to say no.
Exactly. It's not selfish. It's actually necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, as they say. You need to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others or do good work.
What about technology? Do you think technology helps or hurts work-life balance?
That's a tricky one. I think it can be both. On one hand, technology allows us to work from anywhere and gives us flexibility. On the other hand, it makes it really hard to disconnect.
That's so true. I think the key is intentionality. You have to decide when you're going to be available and when you're not, and then communicate that to people.
Yes, and use the tools technology gives you, like you can set specific hours for email notifications or use apps that block certain websites during your personal time.
Another strategy that has helped me is prioritizing my health. When I'm exercising regularly, eating well, and sleeping enough, I have so much more energy and patience for everything else in my life.
That's so true. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. And I think people often neglect it because they feel like they don't have time. But actually, investing in your health makes you more productive and focused.
And it doesn't have to be complicated. Even a 20-minute walk or a quick workout can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. It's about consistency, not perfection. You don't have to have a perfect balance every single day. Some days work will be busier, some days personal life will be busier. The key is to aim for balance over time, not every single day.
That's a really healthy perspective. I think a lot of people get frustrated because they think balance means everything perfectly equal all the time, but that's not realistic.
Exactly, and that's something I've had to learn. It's about the long game, not perfection in every moment.
So, Anna, I think we should talk about how positivity and work-life balance are connected. What's your take on that?
That's a really interesting question, Jack. I think they're deeply connected in several ways. First, if you have a positive mindset, you're more likely to set healthy boundaries and prioritize your well-being.
I see. So positivity helps with making those choices.
Absolutely. When you're in a negative headspace, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you don't deserve rest or that you need to work constantly to prove your worth. But when you have a positive outlook, you understand that your value isn't tied to your productivity.
That's such an important insight. And I think it goes the other way too. When you have good work-life balance, you're more likely to feel positive.
How so?
Well, when you're constantly overworked and exhausted, it's really hard to feel positive about life. You're running on empty. But when you have balance, you have energy for the things that matter to you, and that naturally leads to more positive feelings.
That's so true. It's like a virtuous cycle. Positivity helps you create balance, and balance helps you feel more positive. They feed into each other.
And I think another connection is resilience. When you have both positivity and good balance, you're better equipped to handle challenges and setbacks.
That's a great point. If you're burned out and negative, even small problems can feel overwhelming. But if you're well rested and maintain a positive outlook, you have the capacity to handle whatever comes your way.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Let's say you have a difficult project at work. If you're already exhausted from working long hours and you're feeling negative about your job, that project might feel impossible. But if you have good work-life balance and a positive mindset, you're more likely to see it as a challenge you can handle, or even an opportunity to learn.
That's a great example, and I think it applies to all areas of life, not just work. When you're balanced and positive, you're better able to navigate relationships, health challenges, and all sorts of difficulties.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding problems. It's about having the resources to deal with them. And those resources come from both your mindset and your lifestyle.
So I think the takeaway here is that these two things, positivity and work-life balance, are really interconnected. You can't have one without the other if you want to live a fulfilling life.
I completely agree. And I think that's why this topic is so important to discuss together.
Let's get really practical now. What are some daily habits that can help people cultivate positivity and better work-life balance?
Okay, let's start with positivity habits. The first one that really helped me was gratitude journaling. Every morning, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. It can be anything: a good night's sleep, a supportive friend, the sunshine outside.
How long does that take?
Just 5 minutes. It's such a small time investment for such a big impact. It really sets the tone for your day and helps you focus on the positive.
What's another positivity habit?
Positive self-talk. This was harder for me to implement, but it was so transformative. I started paying attention to my inner dialogue and challenging negative thoughts. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, I started thinking, I'll give it my best shot.
That's such an important habit, and it's something anyone can do, anywhere, anytime.
Yes, and it takes practice. You're not going to change overnight, but with consistency, you can really shift your mindset.
What about work-life balance habits? What do you recommend there?
One that I love is time blocking. Instead of just having a to-do list, you actually schedule specific blocks of time for different tasks. And importantly, you also schedule breaks and personal activities.
How does that help?
It makes your time tangible. When something is on your calendar, you're more likely to do it. Plus, it helps you see if you're overcommitting or not leaving enough time for rest.
Another habit that helps me is creating a shutdown ritual. At the end of each workday, I take 5 minutes to review what I accomplished and plan tomorrow's priorities. Then I physically close my laptop and say, Work is done for today.
I love that. It's like a mental bookmark.
It helps me transition from work mode to personal mode. Otherwise, my brain keeps thinking about tasks even when I'm trying to relax.
What about physical habits? Do you think exercise and sleep fall into this category?
Absolutely. I think they're essential. I try to exercise at least 3 times a week, even if it's just a quick home workout. And I prioritize sleep. I try to get 7 to 8 hours and keep a consistent sleep schedule.
Those are non-negotiables for me too. When I'm well rested and moving my body, everything else feels more manageable.
And I think one more habit that's really important is disconnecting from technology. I try to have phone-free evenings where I read, spend time with family, or just relax without screens.
That's a big one. I think we underestimate how much our devices contribute to stress and imbalance.
Definitely. It's hard to be present when you're constantly checking notifications. Creating tech-free time has been a game changer for me.
I think the key with all of these habits is to start small. Don't try to implement everything at once. Pick one or two that resonate with you and build from there.
Yes, consistency over perfection. That's the name of the game.
Now it's time for our vocabulary breakdown. Today, we're going to learn 15 key phrases related to positivity and work-life balance.
Let's do it. What's the first one?
The first phrase is to cultivate a positive mindset. This means to intentionally develop or grow a positive way of thinking. You cultivate something like you'd tend to a garden. It takes time and care.
She started practicing meditation to cultivate a positive mindset.
Another example, reading inspirational books helped him cultivate a more positive outlook on life.
You can also use cultivate with other things, like cultivate good habits or cultivate relationships.
Next phrase, to set boundaries. This means to establish limits or rules about what you will and won't accept, especially in work or relationships. It's about protecting your time and energy.
She learned to set boundaries with her colleagues to avoid burnout.
Another example, setting boundaries around your availability helps maintain work-life balance.
Common mistake. People sometimes say set boundaries as if it's about restricting others, but really it's about communicating your needs clearly and respectfully.
Impressed. Great point. Next phrase, to find a silver lining. This means to find something positive in a difficult or negative situation. It's based on the idea that every cloud has a silver lining.
Losing that job was hard, but I found a silver lining. It led me to discover my passion for teaching.
Another example, even during the pandemic, many people found silver linings like spending more time with family.
You can also use silver lining as a noun. The pandemic had one silver lining. It forced companies to adopt flexible work policies.
Next, to practice self-care. This means to deliberately take care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. It's about doing things that nourish and rejuvenate you.
She makes time to practice self-care by taking long baths and reading books.
Another example, self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary for your well-being.
Alternative, to prioritize self-care or to engage in self-care.
Impressed. Next phrase, to burn out. This means to become physically and emotionally exhausted from prolonged stress or overwork. It's a serious condition that needs attention.
He was working 12-hour days and eventually burned out.
Another example, she realized she was close to burning out and decided to take a vacation.
Related phrase, burnout as a noun. The company recognized employee burnout and implemented flexible work hours.
Next, to have a healthy work-life balance. This means having a good distribution of time and energy between your job and your personal life, so that neither dominates the other.
She prioritizes having a healthy work-life balance by leaving the office at 6.
Another example, achieving a healthy work-life balance is challenging, but so important.
You can also say maintain work-life balance or struggle with work-life balance.
Next phrase, to get caught up in. This means to become so involved in something that you can't focus on anything else, often in a negative way.
He got so caught up in work that he forgot to eat lunch.
Another example, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of daily life and neglect your health.
Common mistake. Don't confuse caught up in with caught up with. Caught up with means to reach the same level as someone.
Impressed. Next, to take something off your plate. This means to remove a task or responsibility from your list so you have less to deal with.
She took some projects off her plate to reduce stress.
Another example, can you take this task off my plate? I already have too much work.
Related expression, to have a lot on your plate means to have many responsibilities or tasks.
Next phrase, to power down. This means to completely stop working and relax, especially at the end of the day. It's the opposite of powering up or turning on.
He makes a point to power down at 7 and spend time with his family.
Another example, try powering down for an hour before bed to improve your sleep quality.
Alternative, to log off or to clock out are similar but more specific to work.
Impressed. Next, to run on empty. This means to continue doing things when you're exhausted or lacking energy, often to your own detriment.
You can't keep running on empty. You need to rest.
Another example, she realized she'd been running on empty for months and needed to take a break.
Related phrase, to fill your cup, means to replenish your energy and well-being.
Next phrase, to put yourself first. This means to prioritize your own needs and well-being, which is necessary for being able to help others.
You need to put yourself first before you can take care of anyone else.
Another example, she learned to put herself first without feeling guilty.
Alternative, to prioritize yourself or to take care of yourself first.
Next phrase, to gain perspective. This means to step back from a situation and see it more clearly, often by considering the bigger picture or longer-term view.
Talking to a mentor helped her gain perspective on her career.
Another example, taking a walk outside can help you gain perspective on a problem.
Related expression, to keep things in perspective, means to maintain a realistic view of a situation without exaggeration.
Next phrase, to be in the zone. This means to be completely focused and absorbed in what you're doing, often resulting in high productivity and enjoyment.
She was in the zone and finished the project in record time.
Another example, he loves those moments when he's in the zone and time just flies.
Related phrase, flow state, is a similar concept from psychology.
Impressed. Next, to juggle. This means to manage multiple responsibilities or tasks at the same time, often with difficulty.
She's juggling work, school, and caring for her parents.
Another example, it can be challenging to juggle all your responsibilities without feeling overwhelmed.
Common mistake. Don't say juggle with, just say juggle. For example, she juggles work and family.
Final phrase, to recharge your batteries. This means to rest and recover your energy, like charging a battery.
He took a weekend trip to recharge his batteries.
Another example, sometimes you need to disconnect completely to recharge your batteries.
Alternative, to take a break or to rest and recuperate.
Great job, everyone! Those are 15 key phrases related to positivity and work-life balance. Make sure to practice using them in your own sentences.
Now it's time for our reflection questions. These are questions for you to think about and maybe discuss with friends or write in your journal.
There's no right or wrong answers here. Just take a moment to reflect on each question.
Question 1. How would you describe your current mindset? Would you say it's mostly positive or negative? What contributes to that?
Question 2, can you think of a time when a difficult experience actually led to something positive in your life? What did you learn from that?
Question 3. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current work-life balance? What would make it better?
Question 4, what boundaries do you currently have in place to protect your personal time? Are they working well?
Question 5. What are 3 daily habits you could start implementing to cultivate more positivity in your life?
Question 6, how do you typically handle stress when you're feeling overwhelmed? Is that working for you?
Question 7. What does self-care look like for you? Are you making time for it regularly?
Question 8. Think about someone you admire who seems to have a great balance between positivity and work-life balance. What can you learn from them?
Question 9. What is one thing you could do differently starting this week to improve your work-life balance?
Question 10. How can you practice more positive self-talk in your daily life? What phrases could you use to replace negative thoughts?
Those are our reflection questions for today. Take your time with them and remember that small steps lead to big changes.
Thanks so much for joining us today, everyone. We hope this episode gave you some practical tools and inspiration for cultivating positivity and achieving better work-life balance.
Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about progress. Every small step counts.
We'll see you next time on the English Daily Podcast.
Bye for now, English learners. Take care of yourselves.
Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.